How y'all doing? Tonight we're going to make a semi-homemade spaghetti and meatballs. Like I said, it's a semi-homemade deal. It's one of those quick weeknight dishes, which I can make it from scratch. We want to do our own tomato sauce, make our own meatballs, and that's really, really good. But tonight, we've got these things laying around the house and in the freezer. We're going to go ahead and make good on them and make a quick dish. So first we're going to start out with is our meatballs. Let's see here, we got just a pack of frozen, right in the middle frozen meatballs. It's Italian style meatballs, made with have cheese in them too. I've got a cookie cooling sheet here on a cookie sheet or a jelly roll pan. And that's how I like to cook them. I got my oven heat at 350. What I'm gonna do is set these frozen meatballs on a little bill lines on top of this cookie cooling pan. This way when they cook, all that grease and stuff can drip off of them and go down there. We have to fool with drain the grease or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and set these on here, and it says cook these for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to start our sauce. Alright, got all these spaced out in the cookie sheet now. I'm going to stick them in that oven. We're going to go for 350 for about 18 to 20 minutes. Alright, well I got those meatballs cooking in the oven. I went ahead and set my pot here on a medium-high heat. I got about a pound of this andouille sausage, which is a really nice sausage. It's got some smoked flavor, a bunch of garlic in it, and a little bit of hot stuff. And go ahead and let it just start sauteing here in this pan. So I need to cook it up a little bit, cook some of this fat out of it, and we'll set it aside because this is going to go in our sauce as well. So like I said, I'll go ahead and cook this on medium-high heat for a few minutes, cook it down, then move it out of the way. Okay, I think you can see now how we got that color on this sausage. Just got a nice little brown color to it. That's what we want, just the golden brown. And we want to get some of that oil out of there to come off and just get in the bottom of our pan, because we're going to use that in cooking some of these vegetables here in a second. So go ahead and remove this sausage from the pan and set it aside. We're going to come back to it. Look how that's that nice brown crust there on the bottom of the pan. There's really a lot of flavor in that. And we're going to use that here in a second. I'm going to get these vegetables in here. Like I said, we're just going to get this sausage out of here and get ready to go with this other stuff. Alright, now, as far as vegetables go, I've got a bell pepper. This is one green bell pepper cut up. I'm going to get it off in there. And I've got one whole white onion sliced up. No, actually that was a half of a large onion. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this around here. This is just going to kind of take some of that crust and stuff off the bottom of that pan, because it's going to start releasing some juice here with these vegetables. And we're going to saute these vegetables on down. And in the meanwhile, it's going to deglaze this pan. We're going to get all that good flavor back. Alright, while this is cooking down like this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add some of my seasoning to it. I've got about a teaspoon, a little more than a teaspoon of basil, a little oregano, some thyme, some rosemary, some marjoram, and a little bit of garlic powder. That's about a tablespoon, a little more than a tablespoon in all. I'm going to go ahead and add now. And you'll really smell this, and that 2 bay leaves, that fragrance is really going to come out, okay? And that's the good seasoning, Italian seasoning. This smell, you can smell, this smells like a pizzeria or something in here. So you're going to stir that around, let that all sweat like that. And then what I'm going to do, since this stuff is pretty much cooked down a little bit, I got one more step to do. I'm going to kind of set this aside. So I'm going to take this off the heat. Let it just sit there. It'll keep the heat in that cast iron pan. I'm going to cover it and just let it sweat and cook there. On my heat, I'm going to bring, I've got a little small pan here with some olive oil in it. I've got probably about a tablespoon or so of olive oil. A silicone spatula. I've got 1 can of tomato paste. And what I'm going to do, I want to cook this tomato paste. Now, I think I've done this before in some other recipes, but when you cook this tomato paste like this, you really just heat it up. It brings out a lot of the sweet flavors of the tomato that you normally wouldn't get So what we're going to do, we're just going to cook this tomato paste down a little bit. And I've got it on about medium-low heat. So you don't want a high heat. I might have a tad too much olive oil in there. That's okay. I can drain a little bit of this out. Drain just a little bit out there. Yeah, there we go. Which it too much won't hurt it. But I just want to stir this around and keep it stirring. Probably going to do this for probably about 3 or 4 minutes until it gets nice and bubbly and it gets real thick and it turns almost kind of a browner color, more of a burgundy than that red. Meanwhile, I'm going to check these meatballs. They seem to be doing pretty good. Let me be cooking right along nice there. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to set these meatballs off and just let them cool for a bit. Alright, so I set this tomato paste back here on this back burner on real low. I'm just watching to make sure it doesn't burn. Meanwhile, I set these onions and peppers back on the hot burner, and I'm going to put some petite diced tomatoes in here. I'm going to strain a little bit of this juice off of them, not much. Go ahead and put those in, like 1 can. Get those running around. And a lot of times, what you want to make sure you do with these tomatoes and stuff is you don't get tomatoes. I messed up on that. You really don't want to get tomatoes with any seeds in them. That's why a lot of times suggest you get the whole tomatoes in a can. That way you can scoop down there and scoop out those seeds. It didn't have much seeds in here. Those seeds can make it bitter. Go ahead, stir that around a good bit. I'm going to go ahead and add some garlic. Got about a tablespoon of garlic here. I'll add that to it too. Good old heaping spoon of garlic. That stirred in. Stir that in like that. Go ahead, put the top back on, let this sweat just a little bit more. I'm going back and check on my paste over here. My paste is almost to where I want it to be. It's starting to thicken up a little bit. Turn a little bit of that burgundy color. It's soaked up most of that olive oil, which that's good. So I'm going to let this cook about another minute or so. Now I'm going to combine the two. Alright, these tomatoes, the onions, and the peppers, and the spice have really had a chance to cook down. So I'm going to go ahead and add this tomato paste. And see how it's going to turn that darker color? It's not burnt or anything. It's been on really low heat. So go ahead and get that off in there. Okay. And just stir it on in and really incorporate it. And make sure we're on low here. We're on medium. I'm going to turn down a little bit lower than that. This is not a high heat cooking by any means. We can push some of this vegetables down off the side of this pan and get that all stirred in there. Now it's just all like a paste. It's really gotten thick. So now what I'm going to want to do is the next deal with these tomatoes, really get the taste out of them. I've got a glass of red wine. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon in this case. I'm going to pour that whole glass of red wine in there. Because the thing is with tomatoes, there's a couple of elements that really get the flavor out of tomatoes and build that flavor. And one's heat. Like I heated that tomato paste over there, that'll bring a sweetness out in there. There's some flavors in tomatoes that are only dissolved by alcohol. So in this case with the red wine, it's really a unique way to bring out some of that tomato flavor. As you'll see now, you can really smell that wine. Really smells good. So we'll just stir this around here in a minute, turn that heat down just a little bit, and we're just going to let this simmer. Well, I said you want to let this simmer. You cannot quit stirring this at this point. This will burn. It will burn quickly to the bottom of this pan. So even though it's down on medium-low heat, you've got to keep stirring it. We're letting some of that alcohol cook out right now, and we're letting it to really take the taste of those tomatoes to another level. So we'll keep stirring around here for about another 2 minutes before I add any of my other ingredients. Alright, I've been stirring this about 2 or 3 minutes, and it's still, you can really smell that nice red wine smell, but it's cooked up. It's gotten really thick. Now my not so homemade step on doing this quick is we got a jar of tomato sauces, like a tomato marinara. I'm just going to add this on in there. It's nice thick sauce. Stir it on in. Now ideally, if I was making this sauce from scratch, I would have added a couple of cans of big plum tomatoes. I got to de-seed everything. We just let it keep cooking down like we did in that step right before this. And we'd have a completely homemade sauce. See how thick this sauce is? I'm going to have to add a little bit of water to it. So we'll go ahead and stir this around. I'm going to get this thing to fill some water. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid. Alright, I just filled that jar halfway with water. Poured in here, add a little bit of liquid. See, now it's getting nice and a lot thinner. That's okay, because we're just going to let that cook. The water's going to cook out of here. It'll help to thin that sauce out a little bit. That way it's not so thick, it's not going to try to burn on us so much. We're still keeping down on low heat. And you got to watch it. You got to stir this every couple of minutes. It's not like a roux. You don't have to stand over it that much. But you do want to sit here and you want to keep stirring this. And let's see, this thickness. I might add one more half thing of water. So I'm going to add a full thing of this water. Okay, what I just did, I actually added 1 pack, forgot about this little thing, of spaghetti seasoning mix, like you would get in the grocery store. Whatever kind, it doesn't matter. It's just going to give it a little taste. That's since I'm adding this much water. And it's just going to help it out a little bit. Let's see how big this jar. I guess this is probably about a 20 ounce jar. So all in all, I add about 20 ounces of water. Like I said, it's just so it can cook and it's not going to burn. And we'll sit here and let it bubble probably about 20 or 30 minutes. I'm going to stir it every couple of minutes, but keep it down at a medium-low or medium heat. All right, the sauce has been cooking here for about 20 minutes, just barely simmering. I've been stirring it here. I've been tasting it, and a lot of times, you know, people will have their own personal preference on the sauce, the way they like the taste. In this particular pasta, I like my sauce a little spicy. So what I do is I take this crab oil here, this concentrate crab oil, totally optional, put about a half cap full, be very careful, and just pour it in there. That's going to give it a little bit of bite to it. I don't know, that's just the way I grew up eating it. We just liked it, a little bit of spice to it like that. You don't have to do that. And some people like to add a little bit of sugar to it. Usually if I'm going to do that, I will do it right toward the end. But you know, some people are totally opposed to that, so you don't have to do that. But it tastes good. It has a good tomato taste to it. It has pretty much a good sweet taste from that tomato paste that I sauteed there. So I'm going to let this go about 10 or 15 more minutes, and then I'm going to add the meat to it. Alright, been going about 10 more minutes here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the sausage, and you'll see how it's thicker. The reason why I add the sausage first is the sausage is still got a little bit more cooking that I want to do. I still want to get a little bit of, not much, but a little bit of those oils and stuff out of the sausage in here to give it some flavor. And swap back, because it's got that nice smoky garlic flavor in there. So we'll let that sausage go about 5 minutes, and then we'll add the meatballs. Alright, well that sausage has been there about 5 or 6 minutes, and I taste it, and you can really taste that smoky taste coming out of the sauce, real good. So I'm going to go ahead and add these meatballs. There we go. And I got my noodles, my water heating for my noodles. That's it salted. I always like to put about 2 tablespoons of salt. Or I say it's about a teaspoon per quart. I got about 4 or 5 quarts of water in there. Let that come to a boil. Meanwhile, I'm going to cut this down low and just let this simmer. Alright, got this pasta still simmering here on low. And I'll tell you, there's no better pasta for red sauce than there will be yesterday's red sauce. Tomorrow, it'll be good tonight, but it'll be even better tomorrow. I got my noodles cooking here according to package directions. I always just do that. I got about 4 to 6 quarts of water in there and like a pound of noodles. Let them go for about 9 or 10 minutes. We're going to test them out, and then we're going to be ready to serve this pasta. While these noodles are cooking, I was going to take a second to Get a few tips on when you're cooking noodles. Like I said, you always want to try to go by the package directions, of course, but you hear a lot of people talk about things like, we'll put oil in the water or wash the noodles off, stuff like that. Alright, one thing, the oil in the water, it's an okay idea because it breaks up all those little starch molecules and stuff that connect up there on top of the water, which makes that big old starch, that big foam, when you see it foam up, it helps them doing that. It does not, however, get on the noodles and lubricate the noodles or do anything like that. So put your couple tablespoons of oil. Don't put the good stuff in there. Just something to keep that foam off the top of the water. Always salt your water. I usually, just put a couple tablespoons in a big pot of water like this. It doesn't have to be like seawater. And cook them for as long as the package says. You don't have to throw them up on a wall and see if they stick. And that's kind of an old school deal. You can do that, but you don't have to do that. Usually if you cook them for as long as they stay on the package, like this package said, 9 minutes, that'd be the perfect time, perfect al dente noodle. And then when you dump them out, don't ever wash them off. You'll wash all that starch off the outside, and that starch is what holds on to your sauce. So, always remember, salt your water, put a little bit of oil in there, and don't wash those noodles off when you strain them out. And you'll have some good spaghetti noodles with your pasta. Alright, now we got these pasta noodles ready. We'll give this one a little stir. You can give me a spoon here. Oh man, that's some nice good thick sauce. With some meatballs in there. Along with some of that sausage. Now that sauce is so thick and even coming through this slotted spoon. That's some good stuff, I tell you. Alright. And also, you want to make sure you put some fresh Parmesan cheese, fresh grated on here, not that powdered stuff. That's really good. Bring out a lot there. And there it is. Really nice, quick homemade spaghetti meatballs and sauce. But it's a really good Italian dish, and it's, I say Italian Americanized dish here that it's easy to do, great to do on a weeknight. You have a lot of fun with this. Add different things, add some mushrooms. If you want to, you could also add different sausages and play around with the meatballs. But you have fun with it, and it'll be fun, easy cooking, and good for you and your family.